And we're back. And we're back on the KASS Spotlight. Welcome back, dear viewer. This program takes place every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8:15 to 9 p.m. My name is Levi Konesa. I am your host. And tonight we are talking political issues with a gentleman named as Mr. Javas Bigambo. He is from the Interthought Consultancy. And he's also a lecturer at Moore University. We're discussing matters of national interest. And when we left off, we were talking about security. And specifically about the appointments of the removal of one Joseph to be replaced by another.
It was very necessary for the changes to be done. Very necessary.
Let me start from even the beginning, before you even say that. Many had bashed Mr. Olelenku. Jokes had been made about him being a chef and going back to Italy and all that and all that and all that. In your opinion, should he have got the post in the first place? And why did he get it?
You see, it was a question of appreciating cronyism, because as far as documents evident and in the public domain are there, Lenku has got no history, has had no interest, has had no publication, has had no inkling in matter security. And I think it was goofy of the Jubilee administration to pick a thorough greenhorn from the the hotel industry and bring him into matters interior coordination. Worlds apart, far removed from his very own experiences in his entire profession.
Some would say perhaps they saw something in him that the rest of us didn't see. You know, just before he left the ministry, he was lined up for a head of state commendation on matters security. Apparently, he's been doing some really good things behind the scenes there, trying to get, measures for security, straightened up and all that. On paper, he's been quite good.
Well, I think the president and the deputy president saw something in Lenku, and that's why they nominated him and had him appointed. And that thing that they saw is what has taken us here. And that's the biggest problem. Which means what they saw has been this nation's security tragedy. And now they must start using their third eye. It's not just a question of what they see, but what everybody else sees. And fact is, lining up Honorable Lenku for a presidential award is not a problem. But it is no brainer that actually when it comes to enumerating the achievements within the security docket, then Mr. Lenku has been anything but competent. And it's self-evident. That's why they even changed him. In fact, the president has demonstrated this in black and white. He did not just replace Lenku. In fact, he did not even recognize that Lenku has been the Minister for Interior Coordination in his press statement. Could not even mention the name Lenku itself. That tells you something. And then, of course, I know it's a matter of fact that you cannot wake up one morning and say that you have retired from the police service as Inspector General. I mean, really, what kind of soul searching? Did it take place during or after the meeting? Was prevailed upon. It's a matter of fact. But it was also necessary for the good of this country. You see, like Plato once put it quite clearly, at times it's important to force an adult to take bitter medicine for his own good. And that's what's been happening. But the president has played smart, because by having heads roll, Lenku and the Inspector General, he actually removed the spotlight from himself.
But is that enough, though?
It's not enough. Because what the president has done, much as he has picked good old Nkaiseri, who is a former army general, good old Nkaiseri, who's been a celebrated stalwart of ODM and the Code Coalition, and brought him in.
Well, he has told them off and told them he's now been called to matters national. Well,
that is all right. Of course, it's not ODM that has voluntarily donated or given Nkaiseri to serve the nation. But the president had his interests. Why is it the president had to replace a Maasai with a Maasai? But more importantly, the president's third eye is not a blind one. Because one thing, since the exit of Honorable Ntemama, there has been no Maasai kingpin. The president is wandering in the dark, trying to see and find and create a stronghold within the Maasai.
So are you saying this is all about elections, ultimately?
It's not just about elections. It's about politics. It's about governance. And governance is about politics. So it's a question of hitting 2-3 birds with a single stone. Now, if at all the president would have replaced Lenku with somebody from the Itesa community, the Maasai would have been disgruntled. But he had to pick a respectable person from that community and have that presence there, but also somebody who has got some political muscle. And General Nkaiseri.
So, looking into the political globe, so to speak, do you see Lenku doing well?
Well, I think...
Sorry, not Lenku, Kaiseri. Do you see Kaiseri doing well in his new job?
You see, when somebody is the cabinet secretary for interior coordination, they are not in charge of operational issues within the security docket. They are principally in charge of administrative issues.
You know, people are dissecting that now, but unfortunately, when Lenku was there, everyone was bashing him.
No, the thing is
like
this.
The guy was in charge of everything.
If you are the head of...
But now we have Kaiseri in, we are saying, oh, you're not in charge. Are we already setting up a situation where we have excuses for non-performance?
Nkaiseri will have been set up for failure. If at all, having him there is the only change that's going to happen within the security sector. Set up for failure. Because the issue is not who the cabinet secretary is. Because the cabinet secretary is in charge primarily on matters, like I've said, administration, policy, and even seeing how to front matters legislation to foster the security sector issues. But what is needed right now is beyond matters administrative. There is need to have some synchronized approach between administrative and operationalization or operational issues within the security sector. The issue of, for example, deploying every now and then the military to go and handle matters that the police should ably handle is something that needs to be looked at critically. When this constitution came into life, there was the urgency, the need of executing security sector reforms. And unfortunately, the outgoing, or is it the outgone, Inspector General of Police, when asked once by journalists whether security sector reforms are taking place or have taken place, he said, well, haven't you seen that salaries have been increased? Haven't you seen that we have even replaced the police spokesman? I mean, if these are not reforms, then what is? Absence of wisdom and wit has led to the challenges in the security sector.
So you're saying basically changes should happen across the line.
Now, when people are talking about security sector reforms, it is more than administrative and operational issues.
Let's just say off the top of our heads, who else needs to go?
Now, the issue here, by the way, is not about going. Because people can go and others will come and remain in the same hall, facing the same challenges. What needs to be changed is the script. That's what needs to be changed, the software. Should we ask ourselves, for example, what needs to be added into the manner in which, or into the curriculum of policemen and women at Giganjo? What needs to be added? Now, we need also to be having a system or a framework where we have refresher courses for policemen and women periodically, going for serious training.
All those things may take time. In
Yes.
the meantime, we are battling a terrorist fight that gives us no time.
Very true.
Given the face of the challenges we are facing right now, what could change like this?
Root out corruption in the police service. Root out corruption. How many policemen and women on the roads here are willingly and gladly taking bribes? How many of them at the border points of this country are taking bribes? How many of them are willing to cast a blind eye on a particular crime as long as they benefit from something? Start cracking the whip. Have critical, severe punishment for any person in the disciplined forces, in the police service, who is caught in matters of corruption. For example, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has had a couple of guys caught on camera engaging in corrupt activities. Beyond bringing this in the media and the process of investigation commencing, have we seen severe punishment meted on those that have been caught or found guilty? That's what needs to be done.
So start from there. Corruption, which would really, I think I agree with
Yes,
you.
and that's one of the biggest dangers. Then the issue of also changing the software among Kenyans. Why should you willingly give a bribe? One. Secondly, why should you be silent when you see somebody else giving a bribe? That's the other challenge. The other thing is fix our immigration system. Have it fixed. Our immigration system is the problem. Beyond the issue of immigrants and the border points and whatnot, fix it internally. Today still, if somebody wants to get a passport, unfortunately, somebody wants something. Now, look at even the refugee challenge in this country. It's becoming a challenge. Look at the issue of the, I don't want to call it arms race, but the proliferation of illegal arms across the border.
So really, I hear you. So many problems that the government has to deal
Yes.
with. But let me ask, because we'll have to move into this as we enter into just before we take a break.
Yes.
Are there any alternatives from the opposition?
Well, unfortunately...
Let's cast an eye to the other side. What's happening there?
You see, the opposition is trying to do the little that they can. While before we say what actually they have successfully failed in doing as the opposition, as long as there is a government in place, people will expect the government to do what it's supposed to do. As long as the people are paying taxes to the government, then they will hold that government accountable. They will ask questions to that government, not the opposition. The opposition in principle, like it is in every practical democracy across the world, is supposed to check the government of the day, it being the shadow government. But of course, our opposition in Kenya, and in this case the CORD coalition, has been sufficiently deficient of functional ideas to checkmate the Jubilee coalition. Look at it this way. Have we seen, beyond blame games, beyond casting aspersions, beyond pointing fingers, have we seen even any policy insight, any strategic pointers given by the CORD coalition, shared with the entire country, that actually the Jubilee coalition should not only face or handle matters or security or the challenges that are bedeviling this country, but actually what we think these and these
Oh, they tell you they have
supposed to be
Okwa
done.
Kenya, and they have 13 points.
Now look, that has been a galvanizing framework for the opposition politics. Now, we're not talking about using a particular opportunity to galvanize yourselves and your politics to see how you can seize power. Opposition is not a question of seeing how you can create heat within the life of that government so that you can see whether you can have an opportunity to get into government at that time. But in preparation for the next election, because the challenges that the country is facing right now may not necessarily be the challenges that this country will face after the next election, offer those insights, those solutions now. That's the essence of leadership. And in fact, I charge the CORD coalition, beyond the Okoa Kenya politics and the mantra and all that, and sloganeering that is self-evident, come up with strategic pointers that are solution-based to the challenges that not the government is facing, but the Kenyans are facing, and share them with the government and say, for the benefit of this country, this is what we think needs to be done by this government. That itself, somebody will see that this is a caring opposition that should it have been in power, then would have done better.
And when we come back, by the way, we'll be offering solutions. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is the KASS Spotlight. Don't go away.